The topic of discussion is convergence of different dimensions within BankDB, a high-performance modern NoSQL database. I'm going to argue why we need convergence before we start thinking about scaling a system, and why this is required, especially in today's time and the data trend that we see today in the market. I'm Sachin Sinha. I'm author of BankDB and founder of IQLect. We at IQLect deal with data, streaming data, doing predictive analytics, and trying to find patterns in both absolute and predictive manner. I have around 20 plus years of experience in building software, especially in distributed system, and also in some databases, core databases, and dealing with some of the machine learning concepts around it. So let's set the context, and it is actually very simple, the same old simple rule that we already have, that if we have a data, and if you're able to extract the intelligence from the data and apply that intelligence on the ongoing operations, then we see that there is a value that we all can utilize. And this has been going on for a long time. But what has changed today? And in a simple sense, this one diagram can actually explain a lot of things. If you see in another 4 to 5 years, or maybe 7 years, half of the global data sphere will be from devices compared to 2%, 3%, or less than 5% that we have today. This one trend is changing the ground rule itself, which means that we have fast data coming out in a streaming manner. It also means that we have all kinds of data to deal with, different shapes, sizes, and colors of the data. And we need to combine all this data in real time and do some predictive analytics in order to solve some of the emerging complex use cases that, in our opinion or my opinion, will become a matter of survival for many businesses. So if we see, the IoT is going to be the biggest data generator, we all already know about it. And we also see that even among humans, there'll be huge increase in per capita consumption in the data or the interaction of the data. So what is happening? If we see at the core of it, we see that there are 4, 5, or maybe more different dimensions that are coming together, and that space is growing rapidly, somewhere around 28% per year. And this fusion of different dimensions is actually creating the impedance mismatch that we see in the market when it comes to solving some of these problems. So we need to understand that the problems or the spaces within the problem no longer different silos or different verticals that we can handle separately. They are fusing, they are coming together, and they are creating the problems and some of the use cases. And those are the opportunity for all of us to solve those use cases and see the business value out of it. Namely, the data is streaming, as I said, and the data is of different shapes and sizes, like text data, video data, voice data, binary data, object data. We need to do predictive analysis on this streaming data. We also need to do absolute analysis, but predictive analysis is taking front seat today. The source of data at the edge level. So we no longer can afford to send the data back to the server and then do analysis and then tell edges what to do. So we need to do a lot of edge analytics as well. And there are many more different nuances, different dimensions that are also there. But these 4 or 5 big areas, big entities, which are coming together, and we need to solve all of these at single place in order to even enable a simple problem. But why we are having difficulties in dealing with some of these use cases which demand this new kind of a treatment? And this is mainly because most of the tools and the systems in the market were created long ago, decades ago maybe. But if you see the need of the time and need of the problems, how do we solve these problems? We see that we need to have streaming as part of the system itself. We can no longer stream somewhere and handle data somewhere. We cannot afford to take data to AI. We need to take AI to the data. So AI should be part of the system, native citizen of the system itself. We need to have a concept or ability to deal with different kinds of data. So for example, we need to deal with text data, we need to deal with voice data, we need to deal with videos and images, and all these different data may or may not combine together in order to create another kind of a data or metadata, which eventually will become the input for the subsequent systems. And lastly, we also need to do embedded analytics, because when we talk about edges, we are talking about the sources of the data, which could be sensors, cameras, devices, and different kind of embedded systems. So we need to be sitting there within these embedded system as well. Instead of just forwarding data to the cloud or some data center, we need to do certain level of analytics or certain level of data persistence and data handling within these embedded devices as well. Right now, when we think of creating a system, we start taking these 4 or 5 silos and we try to stitch them together to create a system and try and handle the data. This is not going to work, because it actually creates problem not only from the scaling point of view, but also from the latency requirement that we need to handle in order to enable these use cases. Let's also see some of the challenges that are there because of traditional architecture. Uh, long ago, we believed in one monolithic application. Then we started distributing, breaking the application into multiple pieces and scaling them. And now we have in last 4 or 5 years, we saw that everything is broken into many smaller chunks, and we are scaling those chunks separately in order to eventually scale the entire system. While this work in certain scenarios, here it is not going to work, mainly because it is very hard to scale multiple dimensions versus it's so simple and easy to scale a single dimension. The second point is the resource utilization is not proper when we have this chunks of software distributed and when we try to scale them separately. We'll talk about it a little more in subsequent slide, but this is one big problem, that instead of breaking the one big piece into smaller pieces and scaling those smaller pieces separately, we need to actually worry about, can we create a unit of compute which contains every possible elements in it, but those could be scaled separately. And when we do that, then we move away from n dimension to single dimension space, and that is a lot more easy for all of us to handle. This is more and more getting emphasized today when we have humongous amount of data that we need to handle, even for the same old use case that we have been handling for a long time. The second problem is, based on my own experiences and many of the software and technologies available in the market, there are a lot of people talking about in-memory only compute model. Now, definitely it sounds very interesting that we can do all the computation within the memory, but it is very limiting. And it becomes very costly proposition when it comes to even handle a simple use case where the data size is really high. But the third part is more important, where it tends to become very brittle, because even to handle one single extra byte, we need to provision extra byte of the memory, even if we have humongous amount of memory already available within the system. So we need to get away from in-memory only computing to in-memory plus out-of-memory computing. But how do we do that? That's a challenge, because the moment we get out of memory, it becomes, the performance goes down significantly, and there are a lot of other problems that we need to deal with. And the third part, the same system that we talk about, or the unit of compute that we are talking about, should work in a cloud, in a big appliance, big server, and also in a very small microprocessor or the embedded devices. And they should be connected in a way that the different responsibilities could be delegated to different entities. So we need to move away from traditional architecture, which distributed everything and scaled different things separately, to a single dimensional space where we have a unit of compute and we scale that. We need to get out of memory, in memory only computing, to in memory plus out of memory computing. And we need to be available within the embedded systems. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that while the different dimensions within the problem is converging and fusing and creating a problem space, we must also converge the solutions, the different dimensions of the solution, in order to tackle some of the challenges that we have today. And at BankDB, we have done exactly same. What we have done is converge the AI. When I say AI, it's a loose term. We are basically talking about machine learning and several other things. We deal with deep learning as well. But we have converged AI, the streaming part, and the NoSQL part. NoSQL, which is persistent NoSQL. It deals with in-memory stuff, but it also outgrows memory and goes to the file system and deals with the persistent in different ways. We have created this BankDB fleshed out version, which can get embedded into microprocessors. Hence, we can sit within the devices and we can configure the different requirements based on the device that we have at hand. And we can deal with the state-based data management, not only just rule-based, point rule-based, but state-based data management. And that could be connected with the different servers in the cloud. And at the same time, it is a truly multi-model database. Uh, one of the ironies with the NoSQL databases that we have, and we have seen it, that it was designed to get rid of the upfront structuring of the data. But many times, the moment we select a NoSQL, we have already structured the data. That is true with the key value database, true with columnar or column family or document database. But within the single problem space, we are dealing with so many different kinds of data. So it will not be a good idea to bend data in order to align with the model that we understand within the database. Hence, we must deal with different kinds of data at the same time. So BankDB supports key value, of course, then document time series data. It has a way to deal with large files and very large objects. It can deal with running statistics. It also has a graph support, which is a triple data store and the Cipher query layer on top of it. And user doesn't have to necessarily define all those things upfront at the time of ingesting the data within the system. So when we have this three or four things coming together, then we see that there are certain benefits that are natural uh, to BankDB, and also when we start trying to solve some of these problems. So there are pros and cons both, but I'm talking about the benefits here. I can deal with the cons in the question and answer session if suppose you want me to. Um, but we have seen that for this particular problem space, the benefit definitely outweighs the some of the challenges that we see in implementing this convergence. So number one is break the silos. And what it means is that in a single unit of compute, we have everything. We have all the necessary ingredient to deal with the data from one end to the other end. And the size of that unit is totally configurable. It goes from a very small microprocessor to very big servers. And then you can keep stacking those servers in order to scale. The second one is the moment we do this, now the network hop is significantly reduced. The copying data unnecessarily is reduced almost to zero. When the TCP packet arrives one single machine, it never leaves that before processing the data. And since we are able to do this, it actually gives us huge performance benefit. And the third thing is we are not necessarily moving data all the time for, let's say, CEP, complex event processing, or even for the dealing with the machine learning training and prediction. When we are not leaving the system boundary or the unit boundary, then it becomes real time and continuous in real sense. So if we keep ingesting data and we keep processing it, if we have more data, we actually have more machines allocated and provisioned for the same. Second thing is, since it is not an in-memory only compute model, it actually goes beyond memory. And hence, it doesn't require system shutdown or provision of extra memory before we handle more resources. There is a we have implemented our own IO layer, which actually extends the SSDs with our software and mimics SSD as a memory plus rather than an extension of file system. That's a separate topic, but this is how we achieve the performance degradation within the boundary, um, but at the same time remaining completely continuous in real time for the data processing part. It definitely brings down the cost significantly because of two main reasons. Number one, there is a much better resource utilization here. And the second one, when we go out of memory, we also reduce the cost. Um, there is a data distortion that we deal with when we have to align all different kinds of data in a single pipeline. But here we don't need to do that. So the data distortion is really less, which means that we can actually start dealing with the data upfront without even understanding a lot of data, most part of the data. And then eventually, as we understand more and more, the system will become a lot better and intelligent. And the last part is that it actually, we don't need to take data to a separate AI system to train a model, test it, and then bring that model back to the system here, the database here, and then deal with the versioning and deployment somewhere else. Everything is native to the BankDB as far as AI is concerned or ML is concerned. So we could actually, so while we are ingesting data, we could also define the metadata for training and keep training the model and put it on autopilot mode also, and deploying the models. This is the main BankDB high-level main construct. There is a NoSQL store, as I said. There is a stream processing part, and then there is an integrated AI layer. It works in an embedded mode, which means that the whole BankDB can become part of the process itself, within device or elsewhere. You can actually deploy it in client server model, the master slave model, or you could actually provision or deploy a virtual network overlay in a P2P based manner where it's a masterless configuration, and it handles network churning really well, so we can keep adding machines as we need. Some of the use case example, I believe that these are the same old problems, but they have become really complex because of the given context today. So we focus heavily on log analysis. Everything is log eventually, or the streaming data can also become a log file. So handling log files in a continuous and streaming manner and predictive manner. And then we have spent time in dealing with some of the clickstream and web analytics also, because according to us, they're also infrastructural problem, like lead generation, increasing the conversion, personalization, monitoring of the system. None of the businesses run in an island. So when we talk about e-commerce, it's actually using a lot of resources, a lot of services, from hardware to software, and different integrated services as well, from payment to order to customer CRM. And problem at one point can actually create the repercussion somewhere else, and root cause becomes a very complicated task here. With something like BankDB, we have done it. It's rather easy to figure out the root of the problem, and if you're able to figure out, then we convert that into a pattern so that the system can analyze that subsequently in a lot more better manner, maybe in predictive as well. This is the BankDB stack in a simple sense. It starts with the IO layer that we implemented, which treats SSD as a RAM plus, and then core DB and engine construct. Then we have analytic layer, machine learning layer, then stream processing layer. It's an event-driven platform, so there is a messaging, our own event-driven messaging platform on top of it. You can actually integrate external libraries and frameworks also. This is specifically needed from the ML side when somebody wants to integrate with TensorFlow or some of the Python libraries and framework. And end of it, we have a data fabric which actually distributes this entire single unit of compute that we talked about. Again, don't get lost here. This is just to give you the high level sense of the platform. The important thing to note here is that the numbers that you see on the right hand side, they are for single machine, um, and uh, and if you have similar kind of machines, you can deal with as much amount of data as you'd like to by provisioning the extra resources of the machines. Um, I won't go into the details here. Save it for question and answer if there are any. Um, and one of the one of the byproducts of this architecture and design uh, was the performance. We have our own performance numbers, and there are a lot of performances done in different contexts. But this is the YCSB Yahoo Cloud Service benchmark numbers. When we compared it with some of the famous NoSQLs in the market, basically just to understand where we stand as far as performance numbers are concerned. Um, you can check it out on our website or on the GitHub as well. Um, and 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 then some numbers are published on the high scalability website. But the important point to note here is that consistently BangDB performs 2 times, sometimes 3x also, uh, for the same traditional task that most of these DBs were designed for. And we were designed basically to deal with some of the challenges and newer use cases that are emerging. And the performance is the byproduct of it. The major goal was not performance for us, but we saw that there is a huge gain in performance. And this got validated because we always assume that if we are able to do certain things from the design and architecture point of view, then that will have some repercussion when it comes to the actual performance of the system. I would like to stop here for any question and answer. And this is quick, sheet here, reference sheet to just go through some of the features of the database. Um, I've just mentioned some of the high level points here without going into the details, but I'm sure it will give you some sense on the feature side of the functionality of the DB. Thank you very much. Thanks for attending the talk today. And I'd love to answer any question.